Oh, and I know this is kind of a digression, but last week I was talking about my dad's dad, the Indian. He may have been wholly Indian, but it was Canadian, like French roots, because the name was Palaquin du Crédit. So he was Indian and likely French Canadian. So I'm a little unclear about that, but he changed the name. He got rid of the Palaquin and just went with credit. But I just wanted to be as accurate as I can about my lineage. And my wife, she was pretty much Scotch, Irish, and Persian. So my kids, I'm not even going to tell you what they are. But they definitely have Irish, definitely have Persian, and definitely have some Scotch and plenty of Dalmatian in there. Anyhow, totally irrelevant to current events, but I just wanted to. It was a talking point I wanted to go over. Oh, sometimes I smoke. I roll my own cigarettes and I smoke. Some people might think I'm smoking pot, but I'm not smoking pot on camera here, folks. I'm not Elon Musk or Joe Rogan or smoke pot on air. But I do like tobacco. And yeah, I smoke even the short end of the cigarette sometimes. So as long as I'm not burning my fingers, I'm okay with it. But I'm not smoking pot, even if it looks like pot. It's not. What else do we got here? Now, this stuff I already talked about with these immigrants from Honduras. I'm not going to go back over, but I've got mixed feelings. But sometimes I think the most politically expedient thing to do is to just really kind of throw a wrench into the plans of people that have a political agenda and just call him on it and use it to his advantage to be politically expedient. We can absorb these people, even if it's 50,000 of them. Let them have their own town. Do it in California. Let them start, help them out, get started, but then, we give them some industry so they can pay back and help us bring down the GDP. And remember what Adam Smith said in his book, The Wealth of Nations. Every nation's single greatest asset is their workforce, a willing workforce. So that's what we got here. And if we could look at it like that, then we could embrace it maybe. Maybe it'd be good for a while to just let everybody from every country that wanted to come here and they could start their own districts and own little towns and countries that if they wanted to, because they want to associate together, like a tribal thing that we all kind of have. Not everybody. I don't particularly have much of it, but you can say I still talk about lineage, but just as a little factoid, a little intriguing, interesting tidbits. I think we all have a right to know our roots, ancestrally speaking. Even if you're adopted, you might have a desire to know your roots. But these people leaving their countries, if they weren't economically destitute in their own countries, you think they'd be leaving their homelands? No, they wouldn't. And you notice no old people sort of leaving the most vulnerable people behind. How is that going to work? Well, they figure they'll come here, make money, and send money home, I guess. I don't know what the hell's going down there. But definitely we need to look into it. I mean, if they're going to bring their problems to us from the Honduras or anywhere else in the world, then we got to investigate what's going on down there. Is there meddling? Is there United States financial interests down there that are meddling in their affairs and they don't like being deliberately impoverished? Well, who can blame them? So they're coming to the source. They're coming to the root of their problem they perceive. Well, you broke our country. Now you fix it. We're coming here to make our problems your problems. So in a way, if you look at it through the Hondurans' point of view, you can kind of understand it. We don't want to blame them. They're the effect. They're the collateral damage in this thing. That's why I'm so against blaming the downtrodden. of which Jesus said, look, I am that one. Whatsoever you do or fail to do for the least of these, you do or fail to do for me. So I'm just saying, it's just a suggestion that we should maybe see this thing differently, and Trump ought to embrace it in a political expedient manner. We should be kind and nice and have that Christian spirit and not allow ourselves to be trampled over at the same time, to protect our standard of living as best we can and improve it. But it's been going downhill and regressing for decades, like I pointed out. Wages falling sorely behind the true cost of living. Sorely. That's by intent. That's by deliberation. How else can they steal from us? You can't have minimum wage workers staying even Steven and keeping up. No, they had to steal. How do you do that? So I pointed that out, talking about the worth of a dollar 55 years ago versus today. And then you ask yourself, well, what would minimum wage be if it had actually kept up with the real cost of living? And the math has been done. On average, it'd be over $40 an hour. And that's not hyperbolic. That's not exaggeration. It's math. You know, Alex Jones says, InfoWars, I go to this videos on demand, and a lot of times it's dysfunctional. It'll stop, and then it won't let you play. I mean, he needs to check into his provider. Whatever the hell's going on, he needs to make it a lot more user-friendly. I don't know if he's getting way too much traffic or something. Maybe that's it. And that they've got to walk that tightrope between affording bandwidth and, making money. So, but, I'm not throwing the baby out with the bathwater. I'm not condemning Alex Jones because he has done so much and taught me so much over the years, and so many other people out there, about this false flag business, something mainstream media won't touch, this idea of a frame up. Well, never. Nobody's that diabolical. A frame up, what, these fake bombs with all these addresses? No, come on. They won't even bring it up, won't even let the public ponder it, because they don't bring it up. They don't touch it. They avoid it like the plague, right? So they delete it from their rhetoric. They omit it from their discussion, that possibility existing that we know it's been proven to go on over and over through the ages. But the mainstream media, no, well, come on. Nobody's that diabolical. No, come on, right? Sick, man. Sickos. So I've learned a lot from watching InfoWars and Alex Jones and his guests, his callers. And so don't throw the baby out with the bathwater, my friends. My whole life, since I was a little kid, every time I heard a siren, it bugged the hell out of me. And I'll bet you anything, I'm not the only one. And I ask, why can't we, the people, have a sound that's not so objectionable? Make it loud, make it get our attention, but I mean, hell, they could play Beethoven or Tchaikovsky or, some other beautiful classic music really loud and say, well, that's the new siren. I mean, do they run a siren every time a baby is born at the hospital? So why is it so traumatic? Oh, wow, somebody's dying. They were in a car accident. Their house is on fire. Hey, you can be in a hurry. You got lights, and you can run run some classical music or something, rock and roll. I don't care. Run country, whatever you decide, go with it. So everybody, the public knows, well, this is what we're doing. Instead of making this horrific siren sound, we're going to play this music really loud so everybody hears it for a mile away. Fine, whatever. But sirens are horrible. Okay, they're like a sound from hell that some demon might make or something. So that's how I feel about sirens. This transgender controversy thing. Look. The fact is that they decide your your gender at birth. It's on your birth certificate. So what's the big hullabaloo about? I don't get it. Okay, and mainly people got to understand. Look, if a guy decides to have his parts cut off, decides to be a woman, okay, that's what he did. He made a decision to be a transgender. But is it fair that now he can compete, or she, as they choose, can compete with the female athletes? Now that's where I would draw the line. Okay, so No, I don't think that they should be able to compete. So, I mean, it's just that it would be very unfair because they would still have a lot of the physical makeup of being born a male, the upper body strength and all that. So, we've got to see both sides of this issue. We can't just get, a tunnel vision and tunnel opinions about this stuff. All these people that are calling this year, it's 2018. I wonder what those people are going to say when it's 2,999. Think how goofy that's going to sound. So, I mean, wouldn't it sound much better to say it's 2999, the year 2999, as opposed to 2,999? I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Kind of pedantic, but it was one of the talking points I had here in my notes. But yeah, I can't see bringing in immigrants until we end our own desperate poverty. Okay, and we start transmitting some images of tent cities in Los Angeles and everywhere else, and where people are persecuted and driven out of too. By the way, okay, and transmit those images to the Hondurans because this blows. This blows. If they knew that this is how we were treating our own citizens, what are they going to expect by coming to America? But that's not what they're doing. There's a chamber of communists down there letting these people know, hey, it's not good situation in America. The poor are being treated miserably and they're dying out on the street and they're committing a lot of crime just to survive to get three hots and a cot. Um, no, they're not educating these Hondurans or anybody else about this. Everybody thinks that everybody in America is rich, right? That's what draws all these people from around the world. Yeah, people that are rah rah, yes, no borders, let all the immigrants in. Are you willing to, if the government came in and said, well, they need your house, are you willing to go that far? Because that's what they're doing. Essentially, by putting an artificial demand on things, they're making other people, native sons and daughters, okay, homeless by putting that artificial demand on things. So, are you willing to put your name in the hat, join the lottery for, when the government comes, kicks you out of your house? And says, "Hey, sorry, but we need this for the migrants." So, who's paying this price? Do you have walls around your house? Do you have a fence? Do you have doors on your house? And you say it's so bad, this idea of having borders and having a country and setting a good example for the rest of the world to follow. You want to be prosperous? Well, do what we are doing. Okay, but don't expect us to fix your problems once you allow your country to be wrecked up. We've got enough problems of our own here. But these immigrants, migrants, and refugees, they don't know that. They're completely oblivious to the fact that there's all these tent cities in America, all this wanton poverty all over the place, how we treat our own citizens like this. And how in the hell are they leapfrogging? Who is giving these people housing when they come here? What the hell's going on? I mean, is anybody else asking these questions? So, yes, I'm very torn about this whole thing. I'm very conflicted. But sometimes I think that Trump ought to just do the politically expedient thing and just start up a Honduras town somewhere in California, set it up. Of course, the Moonbeam won't object to it. And just use it to his advantage. Use the hell out of it and explain that to his supporters what he's doing. And put them to work. Get our GDP up. Let's start trading and, put these people to work too because they want to work anyhow. Gerald Celente was on the Alex Jones show. He was blathering some nonsense. I like him a lot, but sometimes I'm not sure his head's in the right place. But he was talking about how bad. For years, I've been listening to these what I believe to be honest economists talking about how bad it was that we allowed the interest rates to go to zero, and they were saying, oh, now they're going to negative interest rates in parts of Europe. And, you got to pay, in other words, to keep your money in the bank. Negative interest rates. They were saying how bad this was and how this could have been all the financial wreckage in our society, the wealth and income disparity. This could have been prevented by just raising interest rates. Max has been talking about that all the time too. And I'm sure that would have been one of the ways to prevent these problems from happening. But they don't want to prevent the problem. They need, in order to steal from the people, they got to cause chaos and problems. Do you understand? And so that's what they're doing. But, on the same hand, now he's saying how bad it is. Everybody's saying how bad raising interest rates is. And, that's going to increase the worth of the dollar. And I'm for anything that increases the worth of the dollar. That's progress. You need to see your money go up in worth, not down. You understand? So there's a lot of ways to skin the cat. That's another simple, easy way to fix the problem. But, of course, they're not going to do anything meaningful. Other people are bitching about it. People that claim to be good, righteous, economists out there that are egalitarian